There's something no one tells you when you pass the age of 60. People keep saying that retirement brings more freedom, more time, and more opportunities. Visiting people, attending gatherings, traveling, moving from one house to another, and staying constantly busy. But after living for more than 80 years, I've learned something entirely different. Sometimes, as we age, we need to be much more careful about where we spend our energy, with whom we share it, and how often we give it away. Many years ago, I believed that constant connection with others was the secret to happiness. I visited my relatives whenever they called me. I attended every family gathering. I drove across town to have lunch with old friends. And every time I stayed home, I felt guilty. I thought that being constantly available was proof that I cared about people. But age teaches us lessons that we simply cannot understand when we're young. That's why today I want to share with you 5 reasons why, after the age of 60, we might need to stop visiting other people so frequently. This isn't about becoming isolated. It's not about pushing people away. It's about protecting the precious things that become more valuable as we age: our inner peace, our health, and the years we have left. The first thing I learned is that emotional peace becomes more important than social activity. When I was younger, I could spend an entire day with relatives, attend a party in the evening, and wake up the next morning as if nothing had happened. But at some point in my life, perhaps in my 70s, something changed. After gatherings, I no longer felt energized. I felt tired. My mind was cluttered, and my thoughts became restless and loud. Sometimes I would sit alone in my armchair after the guests had left, and instead of feeling happy, I was completely drained. At first, I thought something was wrong with me. I wondered if I had become antisocial. I worried that I might have grown cold-hearted. But the truth was much simpler. My inner self had changed. My mind needed more rest than before. Many older people understand exactly what I mean. We still love our children. We still enjoy the company of our friends. But long conversations, constant noise, and endless social obligations can become surprisingly draining. It's not just the body that gets tired, it's the mind, too. I discovered that some of my happiest moments didn't happen in crowded rooms. They were the early mornings with a cup of coffee by the window, the moments when I watered the flowers, watched the birds, or simply sat still while the world moved around me. In those quiet moments, my thoughts became clear again. When we're young, we seek excitement. When we get older, we seek peace. There's no reason to feel ashamed if too many social activities drain you. And there's no shame in declining an invitation. Your emotional health deserves as much protection as your heart, lungs, or bones. If a visit leaves you nervous, exhausted, or restless 2 days later, your soul might be trying to tell you something. And that brings me naturally to the second point. As I grew older, I realized that family visits can sometimes create tensions that no one talks about openly. Many years ago, I visited my children very often. I thought I was helping them. I believed my presence would make their lives easier. I wanted to spend time with my grandchildren, share my experiences, and continue to be an important part of the family. And to be honest, I believed that more frequent visits automatically meant more love. But families change. Our children grow up. Their responsibilities increase. Their homes become busy places filled with appointments, work, school activities, bills, and stress. The house that once belonged to us now belongs to a new generation. I remember visiting one weekend and noticing something unusual. My daughter seemed tired. My son-in-law was quieter than usual. The grandchildren were busy with their own activities. No one said anything unkind, but I could feel that my visits had become another obligation in their already packed schedules. This realization hurt at first, but age teaches us humility. Love doesn't always mean being physically present. Sometimes love means giving others space to breathe. And sometimes the greatest kindness is recognizing when to take a step back. Many older parents unknowingly create pressure because they still want to be involved in every aspect of their children's lives. We give advice no one asked for. We compare the past to the present. We visit our children when we feel lonely. But our children live in a different world from the one we knew. Their marriages have their own rules. Their homes have their own routines. Their parenting methods are different from ours, and their schedules are demanding. The truth is that frequent visits can sometimes create invisible tensions. No one wants to hurt our feelings, so people stay silent. But silence doesn't always mean someone is comfortable. I learned that shorter visits often left more beautiful and heartfelt memories. Calling ahead before stopping by showed respect. Giving people time and space even made them appreciate my presence more. Instead of becoming a regular obligation, my visits turned into special occasions, and strangely, our relationships improved. There's a wisdom that only comes after many decades of life. It tells us that relationships don't grow stronger just because we see each other constantly. They grow stronger when we respect each other's needs. The third point I discovered might be the hardest lesson for many of us to accept. Our bodies change whether we like it or not. For most of my life, I believed I was strong enough to do anything. I worked hard, traveled, lifted heavy things, drove long distances, and rarely thought about my energy. But sometime after my 70th birthday, my body quietly began setting new rules. Preparing for visitors became exhausting. Cleaning the house took longer. Driving at night became uncomfortable. Long dinners drained me. Even sitting for several hours sometimes caused stiffness and pain. At first, I resisted these changes. I forced myself to keep going. I told myself I was still the same man I had always been. But my body had other ideas. One day, after hosting several relatives at my home, I needed almost 2 full days to recover. In that moment, I finally understood that strength in old age isn't measured by how much we can endure. It's shown in how wisely we protect the energy we have left. Many older people feel guilty when they decline invitations. They apologize for being tired, they keep explaining themselves. But I've learned that we need to be honest with our bodies. If your legs hurt, rest. If your back aches, stay home. If your heart feels tired, slow down. No one else can feel what you feel in your own body. And as the years go by, this lesson becomes even more important. Because eventually we notice something else that few people talk about openly. And that brings me to the fourth point I learned after turning 60. How money quietly changes our social relationships. When I was younger, most of my friends lived very similar lives. We worked in comparable jobs, raised our children in similar neighborhoods, and worried about the same things. But over the years, our paths diverged. Some people became financially very wealthy, while others went through tough times. Some enjoyed retirement with substantial savings, while others relied on modest pensions or fixed limited incomes. At first, these differences seemed unimportant, but over time they became more apparent during visits, dinners, and family gatherings. I remember visiting an old friend after many years. His house had become beautiful. He traveled several times a year. His dining table was always set with expensive dishes, and almost every conversation revolved around vacations, investments, or new purchases. He wasn't trying to make me feel uncomfortable. He was simply living his life. But when I returned home, I felt strangely restless. I began comparing my own situation to his. I wondered if I had made mistakes. I questioned decisions I had made decades earlier. It took me several days to realize that this uncomfortable feeling hadn't been caused by him. It had come from the comparison. As we get older, we need to protect ourselves from comparisons because they steal our inner peace. One friend might have more money, another might have better health, someone else might have a bigger family, and yet another might travel more often. If we're not careful, social visits can slowly turn into comparisons rather than genuine connections. We start wondering if our home is good enough, if our gifts are expensive enough, if our clothes look old, or if our pension is sufficient. None of these thoughts bring joy. I also discovered another form of pressure. When someone invited me to their home and prepared a big meal, I felt obligated to reciprocate in the same way. I worried about the costs. I worried about the expectations. Holidays became expensive and family gatherings became stressful. Instead of enjoying the company of others, I found myself constantly calculating expenses in my head. That's not how friendship should feel. As older people, we've earned the right to live simply. There's no shame in saying, let's just have a cup of tea together. There's no shame in meeting in a park, taking a short walk, or sharing a simple meal. As I grew older, I realized that the most valuable conversations often happened at the most ordinary tables. They took place over simple coffee, on old chairs, with enough silence between sentences to hear the birds outside. When we stop trying to keep up with other people's lifestyles, we become free. We remember that our worth was never dependent on money, possessions, or our appearance. Some of the happiest older people I've met lived very modestly. They laughed easily, slept peacefully, and didn't carry the burden of needing to impress others. That kind of wealth can't be bought with any amount of money. And finally, I come to the fifth point, which might be the most important lesson of all. After the age of 60, and especially after 70 or 80, we need to learn to protect our personal boundaries. It took me many years to understand this lesson because my generation was raised to always say yes. We said yes to family, we said yes to neighbors, we said yes to requests, obligations, invitations, and expectations. We believed it was selfish to refuse. We believed that good people had to always be available. But age teaches us a different truth. Our energy becomes precious. Our time becomes precious. And our inner peace becomes precious. Every year has its price. I remember many occasions when I accepted invitations even though I really wanted to stay home. I visited people because I felt guilty. I attended events because I was afraid of disappointing someone. I agreed to things that completely drained me, just because I didn't want others to think I had changed. But I had changed, and perhaps that's the whole point of aging. One afternoon, I was sitting alone in my garden with a cup of tea. The sun was beginning to set. The world was quiet. For the first time in many years, I felt no pressure to be anywhere else. No appointments, no obligations, no explanations, just peace. And I remember asking myself, why did I apologize for so many years for wanting moments like this? Many older people carry unnecessary guilt. They feel guilty for resting, they feel guilty for staying home, they feel guilty for protecting their own routines, yet younger people constantly protect their time. They make plans, set boundaries, and cancel appointments when necessary. Why should older people be denied the same freedom? Saying no isn't a rejection. Saying no isn't selfish. Sometimes a no is a sign of wisdom. When we protect our boundaries, we preserve our health, we preserve our patience, and we preserve our ability to truly enjoy the moments we spend with others. Because there's a huge difference between a visit you make because you genuinely want to go and a visit you make only out of a sense of obligation. As I sit here today and speak with you, I realize that aging is essentially a process of becoming more honest, honest with our bodies, honest with our feelings, honest with our boundaries, and honest with our needs. We don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. We don't have to attend every gathering, solve every problem, or meet every expectation. The truth is, life after 60 isn't about doing more. It's about making better choices. Choose conversations that nourish your heart. Choose people who respect your peace. Choose activities that leave you feeling alive, not exhausted. Choose rest when you need rest. Choose recovery when your body demands it. Choose yourself without guilt. If there's one thing you should remember from the words of this old man, it's this. The years you have left are precious. They are not infinite. Every single day has value. Protect your energy as carefully as you once protected your family. Protect your inner peace as carefully as you once protected your career. Protect your health because it's the foundation that allows you to enjoy everything else. Visit other people because your heart wants to, not because an obligation is pushing you. Spend time with people who give you peace rather than pressure. Allow yourself moments of solitude. There is wisdom in silence. And sometimes the greatest companion we have in old age is the quiet understanding we find within ourselves. I still love my family. I still deeply appreciate my friends, and I still enjoy good conversations and warm company. But today, I understand that the best relationships are never measured by how often you see each other. They are measured by their sincerity. The people who truly love you will understand that you need rest. They will understand that you need space, and they will appreciate the time you spend together even more. So if you've been feeling tired lately, if you've said yes when your heart really wanted to say no, or if you're carrying obligations that no longer fit your life today, perhaps this is your gentle reminder that it's perfectly okay to slow down. It's okay to stay home sometimes. It's okay to choose peace. Thank you, my dear friends, for spending these moments with me today. If these thoughts have touched your heart, I hope you'll take them with you and perhaps share them with someone else who needs to hear them. Until next time, take good care of your health, protect your happiness, cherish the people you love, and never forget that growing older doesn't mean losing life. It means finally understanding what life is truly about. Thank you for listening. I wish you a peaceful day, wherever you are. Goodbye, my friends. We'll see each other again very soon.